Recently, I've been using both of these cubes. Now, this here is the Tornado V4, and this one is the Qi XT3. Both made by Qi. The XT3 is considerably cheaper, being Qi's kind of mid-range cube, and the Tornado V4 being their flagship cube. And yes, this is the flagship version and not the Pioneer. So with the XT3 being based off of the Tornado V3, and with it being a decent amount cheaper than the V4, should you get the XT3 over the Tornado V4? Or is the Tornado V4 better as the price suggests? So the Tornado V4 is not very different than the V3. It's more of a small step forward in ways. It has basically the exact same adjustment system. Actually, no, I think it is the exact same adjustment system. And okay, it has core magnets, and the only real difference is in the adjustable magnets. They overhauled the magnet adjustment system, making it much better. Thank you, Qi. Where now all you have to do is adjust the magnets in one corner and do that for each corner. So that's 8 magnet adjustments to adjust the whole cube. Before, the magnet adjustment was in the edge, and you had to do both sides of that, which was really annoying and took a lot of time. So I think if you adjust magnets a lot, that by itself is a good reason to upgrade to the V4. But besides those things, the V4 really isn't that much of an upgrade over the V3. And the only real difference is more in the feel and performance. So in the Cubicles review on the Tornado V4, Phil went ahead and kind of made a spectrum of the Tornado V2 and the Tornado V3. And he placed the Tornado V4 like right in the middle or leaning towards the V2 side. I can't exactly remember. This was a while ago. And I have to agree with that opinion. I do think that the V4 is pretty reminiscent of the V2. In a way, you can think of it as it's a V3 with a little bit of that V2 flair in it. So this is interesting because, a lot of people did not really like the V2 and thought that the performance was pretty bad. I don't agree with that. I thought the performance was fine enough. I actually really loved the V2, but a lot of people didn't really like it, and that's all right. So then, is the V4 a downgrade because it's closer to the V2? I don't think so, because the performance is still better than the V2, and it still performs great. Like, it's good. It's good. Honestly, I would say the V3 has a little bit better performance, but the V4 gives a little bit more of a stable and slightly blockier turn feel, which is nice. Again, it's more reminiscent of the V2, and I love the V2, so I do really like the V4. Honestly, there really isn't that much to talk about with the V4. It's just a really solid cube. Overall, this cube does just about everything, well enough, which makes it a solid cube and a pretty safe option if you're looking for a new cube and you don't know exactly what you want. The only thing I don't really like about this cube is that I personally feel like it is a bit sluggish. Now, recently my opinion on cubes have like completely changed, where instead of that whole stability and I want it to be slow, I want it to be stable, I don't really agree with that anymore. I am really into fast, flexible, effortless cubes at the moment. That's why I use like the GAN 15. And the V4 is not that. But what I will say is that the V4 is kind of the only super effortless, super light cube that honestly I can see myself using. Like I said, it's overall a solid cube, and I do recommend this cube for anyone who is just looking for a solid flagship. Now this brings me to the XT3. And the XT3 is interesting because I did not expect this cube at all. And I really like this cube. So the XT3 is basically a cheaper and lighter version of the Tornado V3. XT3 is very minimalist in my opinion. Like, this cube has a screw, it has spring adjustment, which is nice. It has magnets, it has core magnets, but none of it's adjustable. There's nothing really interesting in this cube, but it just does everything very well, and I really like that. So this cube has that nice tornado feeling, but way more hollow. Way more hollow. It's actually a really interesting feel, and I've come to really enjoy it. And it performs really well. Like, this cube it's a tornado. It performs great. However, the springs in this cube are like, they're pretty loose, and have a lot of issues with corner twists. This cube corner twists really easy. But to be fair, I do keep this cube pretty light in terms of like tensions and stuff, just because I also find this cube to be a little bit sluggish as well. I think it really comes down to the magnets. There's something about the magnets in this cube that are just really insanely snappy. And when I say snappy, only when you like complete the turn and when you start a turn, you really feel them. I just don't really like that. It reminds me of the Diansheng MS3X. And I didn't, I thought it was a decent cube, but I didn't really like it because I felt like the magnets were just too much, way too overtuned. It's kind of like that on this cube, but to a lesser extent. Honestly, I can barely use the MS3X just because of the magnets. But this cube I can use. This cube is definitely usable for me. And actually, I do enjoy using this cube. But that really keeps me from maining it, especially when stuff like the GAN 15 is out right now. And I love the GAN 15, and I hope to get a review on that soon. So should you get an XT3 over the Tornado V4? No, okay, both cubes are actually really good cubes. But one cube is $15 cheaper. So I personally recommend the XT3 over the V4. I feel like you're not really missing out on that much. Yes, the dual adjustment system isn't as good as the V4. Yes, there's no magnet adjustment, but personally, I don't really care about those things anymore. I just want a good, solid cube. The XT3 will give that to you. Again, the V4 is a good and solid cube. But there's nothing that really gets me to want to upgrade from the XT3, right? There's really no big thing that's like, ooh, shiny, the V4, it's worth $15 more. And I think, you can sum up everything about the V4 in just like one sentence. And that sentence is, it just don't got the sauce. This cube just don't got the sauce. It's really missing something. It's missing that kind of X factor that stuff like GAN cubes have. GAN cubes, being really fast, lightweight, effortless, The V4 doesn't really have that. It's a solid, good, all-around cube. There's just nothing super special about it that gets me to want to use this cube, especially when you have the XT3, which I feel like does have a little bit of that sauce, where it is lightweight, it's effortless, it is fun to use. The V4, it's a solid cube, and I use it, and it's like, yep, that's a V4. It's good, and it's reliable. That's what Qi is really good at doing, especially with the Tornadoes. The XT3, on the other hand, personally, I feel like it's not really as reliable as the V4. If you want a more reliable cube, get the Tornado V4, without a doubt. But the XT3, this cube is different from all the other Tornadoes. And it's not even a Tornado. It's the XT3. Sounds just like the TV3, but I don't know, But again, this cube is different than the other Tornadoes. It's a different experience. And for me, I really have started to really like that lightweight kind of effortless experience that, GAN cubes have been offering recently. And now Qi gives me a little bit of that in a Tornado package, which I love the Tornado. I feel like the one thing missing from the Tornado is the lightweight effortlessness, and the XT3 is a step in the right direction for me, personally. And because of that, I actually prefer the XT3 over the Tornado V4. TV4 is more reliable. XT3 is, it's got the sauce. It's got the sauce. Is it the best cube in the world? No. This cube does have some pretty blatant issues, especially in the tension, how loose this cube is, and the flexibility, and I've had corner twists and stuff like that. But to me, that doesn't matter because, again, my turning is pretty lightweight. I can avoid all that stuff pretty easily. What matters to me is kind of that lightweight, effortless feel, and the XT3 gives me that. TV4 does not, sadly. So I actually recommend the XT3 over the TV4. If you want to pick either one of these cubes up, please use code Alex on the cubicle. It helps me out a lot. So thank you for doing that, if you do that. Thank you for watching. I'm trying something a little bit different out. Videos kind of haven't been working recently. I want to try something new. So I'm going unscripted. Got a bullet point list. I don't know. Yeah. it's gonna take a while. I feel like this video is not gonna be that good, so it's gonna take a while for me to kind of get used to this new style. But hey, nice. I'll see you later. Bye. Dang it. Ignore that, please. Ignore that. That never happened. That's a 10.